This OP bone meal farm churns out 26,000 bone meal per hour, and it's easier to build than you think. Just a platform and some trident killers using a unique combination of mechanics. Hey, it's a Wolf, and this fish farm takes advantage of the pathfinding mechanic discovered by Old Rusty a few weeks ago. The other fish farms you might have seen using this mechanic rely on you being in a lush cave or a mangrove swamp. That's cool, but I wanted something that everyone can use. You only need an ocean to get these crazy rates. My zero-tick kelp farm was pretty OP and the video was very popular, but my best design only got 8,000 bone meal per hour and it often broke. This gets more than triple that and relies on basic Minecraft mechanics. This fish farm style is the new meta for bone meal and trounces moss farms, kelp farms, skeleton spawners, you name it leaves them in the dust. All you need to do is stand here, flip the lever, and then collect your bones down here. Let me quickly run through how this works so you can make your own modifications. In Bedrock Edition, fish can spawn in a sphere between 12 and 32 blocks from your eyes. Basically, look at your coordinates and add 1.6 to the Y coordinate. Fish need at least one layer of water to spawn, and that layer can't be higher than Y64 or lower than Y0. They also need sky access, which means you can't put solid blocks above the farm. Sea lanterns, glass and half slabs, and redstone components are fine though, for example. So the mechanic Old Rusty found is that fish that are in one layer of water will pathfind to water that is 3 or more deep if it's within 16 blocks horizontally or 5 blocks vertically of the fish. We use that to make them dive straight into our trident killers like those salmon just did. Fish will also start to despawn once they're more than 44 blocks from you. This is how we can build in an ocean without massive clearing. Watch those salmon, we'll build a platform big enough that if the fish try to pathfind out of the farm, they'll despawn, which frees up space for more fish to spawn. For your convenience, a list of materials you'll need is in the description. Let's go build this OP fish farm. So start by figuring out your AFK block. I like to put a sea lantern in there, but you can mark it with whatever you would like, maybe some colored glass. This spot will be standing on Y74, and you'll be making a platform that extends 40 blocks from that spot in all directions. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be building at 92420. So let's go down to the bottom, kind of pillar up till we are standing on 74. Let's put a sea lantern there. And then we're going to base everything off here. Pick a direction and go out by 40 blocks. In this case, we are going to go to 380, 920, 380. So we want to stay in the center of the farm and we're going to build out to this way. Let's call it left if you're looking at the center. So let's take our moss blocks and begin the work. So this is 920, 380. We're going to go the one next to that and just build up a bit of a moss pillar. This is so that when we build the water clearing machine, it doesn't fill back in. So we're going to build this Zipper 96 flying machine to clear the water for this section. What you will need for this is 30 observers, 29 sticky pistons, 1 piston, 54 slime blocks, 52 honey blocks, a bunch of moss, and whatever building blocks that you want to do for the side of the farm. Let's put in 2 of these. Then we want to put in 2 temporary blocks so that you can come around here. Put your observer facing out here, sticky piston here. Then we can break those 2. We're going to put a sticky piston facing out this way, a slime block here with an observer facing out the other way so that the redstone butt is this way and the face is that way. Then let's put a temporary block here, observer there, and to make sure the machine doesn't go anywhere, we're going to put an obsidian block right here. Put a slime block here with a regular piston on top. This is the only regular piston in the build. We're going to have slime in these areas, another slime block underneath. Let's put a temporary block here. We want an observer facing out, sticky piston here, break that. Then we're going to come down in these areas for the honey block and one there. When we're ready to fire it off, we're going to put a slime block here and then it will be good to go. But for now, we've got to build it out this way. So remember, we are at 920. We need to go all the way out to 960. So it's going to be out here. Let's put down a column of moss just to make sure that we get it at the right spot, that we stop where it needs to be. So that we don't forget where we were, let's fill these in, and this is how the engine is going to look. So the way that I like to do these is put moss here. This is good for survival. And put this sticky piston, and then come down and do observer sticky piston. Now, where there is slime, we go out with honey, 1, 2, 3, and then in. And then I always put a moss block here. Moss because it's easy to generate. You can use whatever temporary block. You may lose some of them, doesn't matter. Just don't use something precious there. And then on this side, we come out 1, 2, 3, and in with the moss block there. And then come to the side. Observer, sticky piston, observer, sticky piston. And then we just repeat that until we get to that moss block. So when you get to this last one, you can just go out by 4, then out by 4. And it should look something like this. Make sure that you are alternating honey and slime the whole way through. And we've got to go through and clear up all these moss blocks. And I just realized I didn't have my clear water texture pack on, so this should be a little easier to see. Okay, so now we're going to take the building blocks that we're going to use for the side of the farm, and we're just going to line it all the way along here. We get to the end, and then underneath here, through here, and then under there as well, all the way down. So when you're done, it should look something like this. So now we are going to get the coordinate of this so that we can make sure that we stop it where it is supposed to go. So see how there's a 3 block gap between where the wall will finish and where we have the obsidian. So it is on 920, and with the AFK at 420, we are going to need to go all the way to 920, 460. So this is where we're going to want the thing to finish. Let's put up a moss layer here. So that wall should finish right here. So let's put some temporary blocks, 1, 2, 3, and some obsidian. Let's break all these, and we should be pretty much ready to go. Come through here and make sure that there isn't going to be any blocks that are going to be in the way, particularly of this bottom layer. So if you see over here, when I built this, there was sort of a underwater island, I guess, so I had to clear that out. I find it's also best particularly if there's a lot of kelp in the area, I find it's best to just go through and break it up a little, because the kelp breaking and the water flowing back into the spots, I find can impact your water clearing machine. So we're just doing it for this area here. So if we're ready, we have the moss in place. The moss doesn't need to go all the way down to the bottom, just as long as it goes there and to the bottom of this layer here. So if you're happy with everything, let's break that. Put slime block in place. Let's take an empty bucket and remove the water there. And the whole machine should start moving. Particularly if you're on Sim 4, I would swim along through the center here just to make sure that nothing goes wrong, that you stay in update distance of everything. And then if everything works, it should stop exactly where we want it to, which, yes, it does. Love it when it works first time. And now we take our building block, whatever you're using for the side. So these blocks now, this is part of the side. Don't break this. So I just like to come along here and we break all these, obviously collect them in survival. I tend to not break that last one. And then we just fill all this back up and do that for the rest of it. Next up, we break and collect all these and then take our building blocks and fill in the far side and a side over here. So the engine was over here. We want it on this side. I like to start with the top just because sometimes water can be weird and it's best to start with the top. So when you're done, you should end up with an area like this, and that is half of the water clearing done. So let's go build the next section. We're going to go to this level here and we need to go out to 880. This is where we're going to build, so we want it one block further out with that moss. And we're going to build our engine here. So if you remember, this is our engine. When we're ready, we're going to put slime here. Well, we're going to break that and put slime there. This is the engine. And then we're going to build this out until it reaches there. So when we get to this last one, we're actually going to go here. Like you could finish there, but you will end up with a single block through there. We also want to avoid having observers go through there. So the way that we're going to do this is just have one more to go through here. And then we are going to build those two there. Slime here and here. And then we're going to need to replace, you know what, just for ease of use, let's actually replace this layer. Oops, careful. Let's replace this layer here with moss. Honey there, slime there, and then we fill in with our building blocks. Next we go through and remove our temporary blocks and just clear down any of the kelp, make sure that there is no land that it's going to get stuck on. And then we see here that we are at 880, and so we're going to go all the way out here, 880, and just to make sure that we're in the right spot, 460. So 880, 460, 460, so this here, and we go one out. Remember that is where... that's where the rest of the farm is, so we're going to come one this side just so that our farm stops where it's supposed to. So then we're going to come out 1, 2, 3. Then we put our obsidian in and we can clear out these ones here. Check to make sure everything is in order, that all your honey and slime are alternating, that this line here actually covers this. It can go further, just don't make it go less. So once you're happy with it, get rid of that, put the slime block in, because if you don't, it's going to set off immediately. Now take your bucket and clear that. Hopefully everything always works. You can never quite be sure. Don't go too far away, swim along. Ah, that's perfect, thank you. And hopefully it all stops where it's supposed to. Wonderful. So now we just go in here and do what we did through there. So while I'm doing this, if you're going to go further out, that's fine. You don't want to go closer than 40 blocks. You want to make sure that you are at least 40 out. So now we've ended up with an area like this. If you want to, now you can get rid of these moss columns. You won't need them anymore. So the next step is to fill in our floor. So this can be however you want, but we want it on this level here. So that essentially you're building it in the water. And as you're building it, now's a good time to light it up. If you feel like putting in floor lighting, that's a good thing to do. So we'll come in by 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to put a light here, leave a 7 block gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to have our next light here, and this will make sure, well, we go 7 this way as well, like so, and we just continue that all the way to the other side. This will make sure that no mobs can spawn, and when you're done you should end up with something like this. You could use torches if you prefer, but I like to have it in the ground because we're messing with water, and if you have torches in place then that will mess things up. Okay, so we are at 920, see? So I like to come this way, which is south. You can do north, but you want to have it on the now north-south side. So we just break these and put in our door here. So this way we can come up and down and all around. So now it's time to mark out where our trident killers are going to go. So this is directly underneath our AFK position, and you need a 4 block around it. do it whichever direction that you want. I'm just going to do here. Main thing is that one of the spots is directly under your AFK position. So we have this one, and then we're going to make another 8 around it. Here we are going to have a 15 block gap. So 1, 2, 14, 15. So then these here are going to be our next trident killer. See, it is in line here. So then we're going to go both sides by 15. So the farm now looks like this with all the trident killer spots marked. Let's go have a look over here to see what we're building for context. So looking at this with fresh eyes, you can see the same spawn spots marked. We're going to have a platform on top of that, and the fish are going to swim into the trident killers. And then we have our item collection like this. So we have our 4 spots that we've marked like this. We have our trident killer around. I'll show you exactly how to build all this. Inside the trident killer, we have the hopper, which collects everything, pushes it into the dropper. The reason why we can't use water flowing out from here is because there's water continuously flowing on the top, and it messes up any of the water streams that you might try and put in place, because the whole thing is just water. So we do it this way, push it into a hopper, into the dropper, and then we use a basic comparator to clock thing to spit the items out into the water stream. You could do hoppers all the way if you wanted, but this just saves on a bunch of resources and potential lag. So we're going to have the door right in the middle of the farm, and then I like to split it out on both sides like this. When you turn the farm on, it drops the redstone block down to here, which turns off all these lines, which then starts the trident killers, and then everything kind of flows into here. You also want to separate everything out into 3 different lines, because the amount of storage this stuff takes is really quite insane. So for context, you're going to get over a double chest for each of these, so over 3 double chests from the entire thing every hour. So let's go build it. So first things first, I will put the door in line with the AFK position. Grab your packed ice and figure out exactly where you're going to have your collection systems set up. You could put it 1 block higher like I do in the other farm, but for this one, I'm actually going to set it into the line like this. Leave a 1 block gap between where you have the trident killers marked, and I like to do it towards where the door is going to be, just because it's a lot easier to just come in, collect your stuff, and then go. So once you've broken it out, fill it in with packed ice, and then go do that for the other 2. And once you're done, you should have something that looks kind of like this. We're not going to put the water streams in just yet. This is more as a way of making sure that you build everything in the right direction. Next, we're going to build the dropper clock thing that spits all the items into the water stream. For each one of these, you'll need a dropper, a comparator, a repeater, 3 redstone, and a target block. And it's going to look something like this. Put the dropper here, comparator, repeater, solid block, dust, 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 target block. Literally what happens when something goes in there, it's going to activate that, and it's going to shoot everything into the water stream. Go ahead and do that for all the trident killer spots. And when you're done, you'll have something that looks like this. All of them facing the same direction, all of them facing into where your water streams are going to be. So next we're going to start working on the trident killer itself. We want a hopper going directly into that dropper. You want to have 3 blocks around like this. This is going to be the inside of the trident killer. So then we surround this with a layer of blocks. If you're going to have the ice at this layer, don't put any blocks here, but otherwise you can fill it in. Now let's build the standard washing machine style trident killer. So for each module, you're going to need 4 pistons, 4 observers, and 4 droppers, and some solid blocks. I like to use glass as well for this last spot, just so that I can see what I'm doing. So we have the water stream on our left, and then above the hopper, we put 1, and then we do it in this direction, and then fill in the blocks in between with solid blocks. I like to leave this one empty just to get out later. On the corners of each, put a dropper in. Doesn't matter which way it faces. If you don't want to see the face at all, you can go like that. Then grab your observers, and looking at the dropper, crouch. So you have the back of the observer facing out, and just so you can see, the face is going to be this way. There's different ways of building these trident killers, but I find the one with the droppers, even though it uses slightly more than, say, putting redstone dust in there, it's the correct speed so that everything works. So we just fill in these ones, leave that one for last, fill in these empty gaps with solid blocks, and jump down here. You may need to put a solid block in. Then look at this dropper. Crouch and place the observer. Then before you close it up, grab your trident, throw it in there, and you can close it up with the glass. If you have impaling 5 on your tridents, it's going to kill the fish quicker, but honestly, they're so weak, it's not going to make a huge difference. I like to always test to make sure that I've got things working correctly. So if you want to put a lever anywhere here, just flick it once and then flick it twice and you'll see everything moving around as it should. And that's how you know it's working. Then once you're done so that it doesn't keep moving around, let's just replace that block and everything is looking good. Let's go build that another 8 times. So now when you're done, you should have something that looks kind of like this. As you can see, I built it with the droppers facing up. So if you didn't know, the trident killers only work for the player who threw the trident. It's hard to believe, but we are so incredibly close to finishing. So we're going to fill in all these spots. And then on the near side, we're literally just going to fill in. I'm just using glass here because that's what I like to do with my water streams, so I can see everything flowing through. Use whatever makes sense to you. So we're going to finish it here. We're going to repeat that 2 more times. So the next step is to figure out how you want to store the items. So we could go into filters and all that sort of stuff. Now would be the time to build all those. If you want to store below or whatever, just figure it out from there. But the way that we're going to do this one is when it comes in here, the last block, we're going to put soul sand here. We're going to put a button on the far side, and then we're going to surround this with glass blocks. Go up to the height of the top of those trident killers because the roof is going to be sitting literally on top of here. And then I'm just going to go super simple, put my chest there, break this block, put a hopper, crouch and place a hopper so that it is facing into the chest like so. And then we're going to go make a water source. There's the 2 different ways of making the water sources. You could do this. All you need is 2 buckets of water, one on this side and one on this side. And then you can take from this middle one here, or I prefer this one here because you can grab from anywhere and you just make a fall like that. Once you have your bucket of water, you're going to put 1 at the bottom and then we're going to go up. Then we're going to fill in this area. Make sure you have glass or a stair in this sort of configuration over top of the chest so that you can open it later. And then we're going to put 1 more bucket of water there so that anything that comes through here gets caught up into there. Don't worry, we're going to have a roof on here, so it's not going to shoot all the way up. It's going to hit the roof and then going to go down there and into the chest. So go build that for the other 2, and then let's put our water streams in place. It's super simple, and you may need to fix it so that it goes like that. We put a water bucket there, then where it stops, put a button, and then water stream after that, and then we have a button right there so that the water doesn't flow back, and then we go there and we go till it stops, and a button in there and a water bucket there, goes till it stops, put a button there and a water bucket there, and then anything that comes into this area is going to go straight into our storage system. Let's do that 2 more times. Then when you're done, you're going to have a system that looks like this. Let's fill in this water here. We won't need this anymore, and then clear out the temporary blocks. So before we put the fish spawning platform on, we want to stop the buildup of XP. So if you have Sculk Catalyst, then put it in now. Otherwise, the XP is just going to build up in here, which is fine if you remember to regularly run past and collect that XP. Just kind of come past here and you'll pick it up through the blocks. But otherwise, particularly if you're on a realm or a laggy server or low-end device, I would highly recommend putting in Sculk Catalyst. Doesn't exactly matter where, just put it somewhere in the Trident killer and it will absorb all the XP. So the last part of this step is to cover the top so that items don't get flung out. I like to use bamboo trapdoors, but acacia trapdoors also look cool because you get this kind of pipe effect. Honestly, anything here is good. Let's put bamboo trapdoors all the way through here. Time to work on the fish spawning platform. So because we're using Sculk Catalyst, we don't want to use things like stone in here. You can use stone bricks if you like, but I'm going to use oak in here, and then the lights, we're going to use jack-o'-lanterns. You could also use frog lights, but don't use sea lanterns for this section here, because sea lanterns are non-spawnable blocks now. So you're gonna need a whole lot of blocks to cover this area, and then you're gonna need 100 lights to fill this. So we're going to follow the same pattern as we had here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to be 7 blocks in between until we get to here. It's going to be reasonably easy when you're doing it in survival to see underneath. Once we get to the trident killers, so these are actually going to be, you know, part of the floor, etc. That's all going to be like around there. I would just put glass in here just so that you can see to mark it, because we're going to flood the whole thing later and then we're going to break out this. So let's go do that. So now the platform looks like this. We need to flood this whole area. It's not as bad as it sounds. You really need to put water source blocks on 2 sides and then the rest will take care of itself. So what I like to do, there's 2 ways. You can either grab your bucket of water and go 1 and go like this. Probably going to be the easiest, but I don't know. I always throw down a layer of dirt. Just makes it easier to see where everything is. So we have like this, and then around here, and then we get our water bucket, and you're literally going to go here and you're going to sit there, and then kind of every second block, every third block, just make sure that it flows straight. I just find that this is easier to do it this way, and make sure you haven't missed anything. Once you're done with that, just grab your shovel and you literally just hold it and run backwards, and you'll break all the dirt like this. So now when we break all this, and we're going to get the whole thing all filled in, and it's going to be lovely, just like that. Got to get a bit closer. It was out of update distance. So if we stand up here, it's all going to move and fill in everything. You can see the fish already spawning. Excellent. So for this next section, we're going to build the thing that turns everything on. If you want to do it this way, we're going to need a bunch of glass. We're going to need, I think it's just over half a stack of redstone. We're going to need 2 repeaters, a sticky piston, 11 slime blocks, and 5 either glazed terracotta or moss. Since you've already got moss from earlier, probably just use that. So provided that your door is lined up with your AFK position, let's break out these 2 blocks and turn them into moss. And then moss in these 3 places. Then we're going to break this one out. We're going to put redstone block there. We're going to put, now let's go up an additional 10. 1, 2, 9, 10. And then we're going to put down 2 temporary blocks. And then this should line up exactly with our AFK position, standing on Y74. And we're going to run these glass blocks all the way to our AFK position. And I love it when it works first time. Let's put our lever in here. Put in some redstone dust all the way across to there. Come down here so that we can stand here and put our sticky piston like this. Get back up, we want to put redstone dust on top of that. Flick this lever on and then just look for where the redstone signal dies and put a repeater in there. And then another one in here, that's roughly it. That forces that down. So then we got this situation going on. If we have a look down here, we have our redstone block here, which is exactly what we want. And now it's time to wire this thing up. So you want to make sure that this line is on, which means that the farm is off. We come in here, and then this line here, we want to run all our redstone lines across like this. Now, I would suggest actually laying it up on the far side. So these lines are going to connect up. We want to put a block directly below. I mean, you can put it under either the dropper or this dropper or the block, just not the observer. Any of these are fine. So we're going to come out by 1. Going to go in like this. The reason why I like to send it into the dropper is so that when the farm is off, all the pistons are retracted. So we're going to take this line all the way through here. Connect it in there, and then we're going to connect it up to this one. Probably the easiest thing in survival is to just crawl. We're going to put our redstone line along here till we get to that point, come around underneath, and it's going to go all the way down here like so. we put our repeater in each of these. Then come along here, go to where the signal dies, and then come back. We put one there, that runs into there. Go to where it dies so that it continues. And go to there. And then everything is wired up. And we just do the same thing over on each of these. So then once we've done this final line, that's going to connect up here. Then we run our redstone line, same as we did for the other ones, all the way down. And then we use repeaters to make sure that everything is still active. Doesn't it exactly matter where they are placed, just get them in the right spot. So now we should have tridents in each of these. Should have everything looking all nice. And it should be ready to go. One final test, go over here, turn this lever off, and then come down to make sure, check that each of these trident killers are working. Look in each of them, make sure that they're all going around. Just need to break out this glass. Go to each of these, just break out the glass. If you're in survival without depth strata, you may need to just place a block there and then it'll fill in afterwards. Just go to each of these and break them out. And finally, you stand on your AFK block. You know, you can build a glass case around yourself just to make sure that you stay safe. And then you literally just stand on this block and the farm will work. When you're ready to turn the trident killers off, just flip that lever. Make sure whenever you leave this area that you turn the trident killers off, otherwise the tridents can fall through blocks and it's fine. You just need to break some things and pick up the tridents and then rethrow them, but that can be annoying. So just stand here and then you see all the fish. So these ones spawned and they'll figure out exactly which one they want to go to. That one's going over there, these ones going there, this one has picked that one, which that's fine. I mean, this isn't the most efficient possible farm. That is one of, I think Golden Helmet has done the best one in the game. So we literally just sit here and collect all those bones. Let me know if you build this in your world or how you'd make it better. Subscribe to see more tutorials as they come out, and I'll see you in the next one.